and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels, sponsored by Jelly Beans F1 podcast. I've got to inject some humour into it somewhere. The rest of it's going to be pretty humorless. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
Jelly beans.
Shall we just explain the jelly beans thing first? Because we'll get the fun stuff out of the way and then get on to the whose side are we on?
It's proper's a good idea, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so Sebastian Vettel's post-race team radio. Obviously, there was a big thing because it was between Alonso, Raikkonen, and Vettel, wasn't it? The sort of three of the older guard, should we say, who were fighting between
worst qualifiers and best races, I think, is the diplomatic, undiplomatic
for the most overtakers. So Sebastian Vettel parks up in the pit lane behind Bottas's car, I think it is, and then says, "Hey, did we get the overtaking thing?" And his engineer said, "Oh, I don't know, actually." A couple of seconds of silence. "Yeah, apparently you did. Well done." Vettel's response is, "What's the prize? 1 million jelly beans?"
It'd be a decent, if there were proper Jelly Belly ones, that'd be a decent prize to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as
maybe.
as long as they pick all the licorice flavour out, because
I was going to say, what's the best flavour of jelly bean?
Orange.
Let's sort the important stuff out.
Best flavour of everything is orange.
All right, Max Verstappen.
Apart from Formula One Championship.
So you don't want to see Lando win, then?
That's papaya. That's different.
That's papaya. That's not orange.
Yeah, I'm colourblind.
So was the person in the stand all weekend who had just the word papaya on a poster, but the letters were in bright red.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I managed to miss that. So, what else did we see that was fun this weekend? You can tell I'm trying to delay the inevitable here, can't you?
The McLaren livery for this weekend was
hot, wasn't it?
Interesting,
trippy.
I liked it.
I
a little bit psychedelic.
I enjoyed Stormzy trying to steal Martin Brundle's microphone. That was fun.
I was massively surprised at how tall Stormzy is.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Yeah,
he must be about 6'8", is he, or something?
Yeah, there is a lot of him. And Martin Brundle desperately trying to find a cricket joke when somebody told him in his ear who Chris Gayle actually was.
You see, I don't see the grid walk anymore, and I feel I'm no poorer for it.
Yeah, the only decent moment in the last few grid walks has been when Martin Brundle desperately grabbed Kimi for a word at Saudi Arabia, and he just said yes, and then carried on walking and shrugged.
It was one word. I don't see what the problem was.
Kimi, can I grab a quick word? Yes. That was it.
That's one of those, mind if I ask a question? No, you already have. See ya.
What a guy he is.
Yeah. And he also did the longest interview of his career at the end of that race. I don't know if anybody saw Kimi's sort of, goodbye interview, talking about how, there are some people who think there's no life outside of these gates. Just like, I feel sad for those people.
Did you see the Kimi tribute poster that Alfa Romeo did? Well, they did two sorts of goodbye posters, one for each driver.
Yeah.
The Kimi one containing all these Kimi facts, and the Giovinazzi one saying thank you.
Yeah.
But my favourite fact on the Kimi poster was his average time in the media pen was 48 seconds.
That is both amazing for its length and also that is a stat you can put your hands on. Like, someone has recorded that.
Yeah, that's fucking ace.
Generally looking in the direction of Sean here.
Yeah, that's ace. Did anybody see the thing where Coulthard presented? He was presented a picture by Stefano Domenicali and was it Jean Todt? Or was that just on F1 TV?
No, I didn't see that.
No,
I did not
missed
see that.
that.
Yeah, they had like a video montage as well of Kimi's best moments, and what I didn't realize until they were talking about it, I didn't realize that Kimi's had the same personal trainer throughout his entire Formula One career.
20 years.
Bloody hell!
There is a picture on Instagram of him and said trainer with beers from last night. So I think they've had a good day. I think.
There's also like a really heartwarming picture of his trainer carrying his bags away and Kimmy's got one of his children on his shoulders and his wife's there with the other child, and he shared that picture on his Instagram, thanking his trainer, saying, 20 years, sometimes we've had to dodge literal bullets, but we've made it.
I mean, he will seriously be missed after this season.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally disagree with Damon Hill post-race saying that Kimi Räikkönen would likely come back as a pundit.
But I'd quite like to hear it.
I do wonder whether he'll do something else. Whether he'll come back in involved with a team or something.
Well, he's had his own team for a little while, hasn't he? And his son is big into the karting, so I think
his son is apparently quite good. He could be second generation Räikkönen driver. So yeah, we did say goodbye to Kimi this weekend, which yes, it's sad, but I mean it's been coming for about 6 years, something like that. So.
More than that. Like, I feel Alfa Romeo Kimi was like bonus Kimi, wasn't it?
It's taken away one of our regular features since we first started the podcast, saying the best person to replace Kimi is Kimi.
It still might be. Still might be. I'm not completely convinced that they're not going to need a Kimi to replace Kimi when I'm sure we'll speak about this later on. But I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to have a Bottas.
Because Hamilton might retire and Bottas stays at Mercedes?
Yep.
I have heard that, but I don't know how close to the truth it is, should we say.
You know what I can never get out of my head sometimes is when I realise we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit here. But you know when there was that interview with Mika Hakkinen and he talked about when he retired, and he said, you've no idea how much effort it is to put into winning 2 world championships back to back. And he couldn't face doing that again. And that's why he retired. Like when you consider how long Lewis has been in Formula One, the ups and downs he's had, and then this mega run of success that he's had, leading up to this just fucking like gladiatorial battle with Max Verstappen, for it to end like that, I could totally understand if Lewis Hamilton thought, I can't do this again next year.
Well, when he said in the post-race interview, asked about next year, and said, "Oh, we'll see," or words to that effect. The internet went apeshit, and I
saw that. I saw that more of a
we'll see what the car's like almost.
Yeah, I think it was more of a look. I've just finished this season. Can I have a couple of weeks off and then I'll think about next year?
Because you can see it going sort of one of two. You can see it kind of almost going one of two ways, really, can't you? In that there'd be that element of fucking hell, I'm knackered. Yeah, I can't be arsed with that again. Or bloody hell, I missed out. I'm owed one there, so I need to keep on going.
Yeah, I think that we'll see about next year is like, I know that publicly Lewis Hamilton has said there's no point in looking at the 2022 car because so much data is changing, and he was just focusing on 2021. But at the same time, I don't believe that. I believe he's had a lot of input into the 2022 car, and is in the simulator is sort of guiding how that's going as well. And there are some suggestions, and I think Sky did let it slip a little bit at the weekend. I can't remember who said it. I think it was Simon Lazenby, that Mercedes appear to be a lot further ahead in terms of sim work than other teams.
Yeah, it was. It was in the after coverage, wasn't it? They were. In fact, unless it was on Ted's notebook, they might have even said that on F1 TV as well. That might have been brought up.
Well, I mean, as far as the sim work goes, iRacing have just put the W12 into the game with full backing, input and support from Mercedes. And it's all been data taken from the sim. And I just wonder if this is a two-way thing and they've got I guess will be the W13 simmed up and ready to go, and that's been part of the testing. So they're ahead on sim work, but it's a commercial project.
No, I don't think they would be given. They wouldn't be letting any information out about their next race car.
No, but for example, if they're working with the developers for their own sim, on the promise that they can have the current car now that it's not being used anymore.
Yeah, what I saw from what was reading about the iRacing thing was that it was just that Mercedes threw Anthony Davidson at it, and then what happened was they built the iRacing car, and then Anthony Davidson was doing like back-to-backs between iRacing and the sim at Brackley to get them as similar as he could get them, like stepping between the two things. So I don't think Mercedes was like as involved as like the Mercedes team, but just that they threw satellite members at it.
Well, they've got about 19 sim drivers to spare anyway.
Yeah, of course they have. And as Anthony Davidson said once, he thought one day he'd wake up and his racing suit would just be pixels because he spends so much time in simulators.
Yeah.
I mean, the F1 team sims are usually a sort of bumped up version of R Factor, which I've still yet to try.
Yeah.
Don't they use it as a base?
Yeah, they used to. I've often wondered whether they've gone beyond that now, because like so much software is like bespoke, isn't it, for these places?
Well, no, I mean the company that makes R Factor also makes the sims for the majority of teams, so R Factor's a cut down version of what the teams are using.
Cool, crazy.
So the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix then.
Yes,
Lee, have you got a shunt ready? Should we do that?
I'm
trying to delay this.
I thought Max had a shunt ready for this weekend.
Hey.
Can we talk about qualifying first?
Yes, let's.
Because I gotta say, I think Max Verstappen missed out on doing one of those special laps at Jeddah when he made that mistake at the final corner. I think he hooked it up perfectly in Abu Dhabi to put that car on pole. I really do think that was one of the most stunning qualifying laps, we've ever seen. It was okay. He didn't beat his rivals by 3 or 4 seconds or whatever, but it was a good margin. It probably was more driver than car, as has been the case with a lot.
3/10 is the modern 3 or 4 seconds, though.
Yeah. We're not talking. A lot of people when they talk about legendary recent qualifying laps, they talk about Hamilton's in Singapore, which was I think over a second in 2018, something like that, and which was just perfectly hooked up. I think this was just as good. It was just obviously the margin wasn't quite there, but yeah, fantastic qualifying from Max Verstappen to put the car on pole, and it really set up an interesting race for Sunday. I'm just going to say it now. I think we're still yet to have an actual good race at Abu Dhabi. We've been going there since 2009, or Formula One rather. I haven't been going there. Formula One's been going there since 2009, and I can't recall a good race at the circuit. It's better with the changes they've made, but it's still not a good race.
Yeah, it felt more like an actual racetrack, didn't it? This weekend, but it's such a shame it's the last race. See, if it was just chucked in the middle, I wouldn't fucking care. But it's not even because we go some other very cool places now. There's some other pretty big spectacle races now. When we started going there, it felt special. It doesn't feel special anymore.
Yeah, because it was a sunset race, wasn't it? And now we've got 3 or 4 night races in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but even the place, there was something a bit different about it all. But it just doesn't hold anything for me anymore. You just think, oh fuck, it's just a dull processional race most of the time. And this would have been a romp off into the distance had it not been for Shenanigans.
Yeah, I mean, I was fighting to stay awake. Like after about 20 laps, I was sort of sat here like, yeah, I'm really comfy. It's quite warm. I could just drop off now, and I'm not going to miss anything because it was very obvious at that point that without any shenanigans, there was only one result.
Not to my fucking father.
Oh.
10 laps before the end. Whenever like Hamilton's like 12 seconds.
Oh, we've lost him.
Ahead. Like, there's no time to do the catch-up or something like that. Dad turned and I said, something's going to happen here, and he's not going to win the championship. And like, fucking Nostradamus.
Wow. There is a tweet that's like got a lot of attention since it happened, because about half an hour before the race, some random tweeted like, "Oh, Latifi is going to decide the championship today."
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it just that was a completely random person?
It was. I don't
Yeah,
think it was
totally,
anyone
yeah.
of particular note. No, I'm sure they're a big F1 fan.
You
but
said it.
I said it as he crashed. I was not
right,
predicting
sorry.
this guy was like half an hour before lights out.
I was just thinking, I was like, fuck, hang on, is Sean on crack here?
No. I know. I was literally just saying what I was seeing, but no, this guy was clearly looking into the tea leaves or something.
Wow.
Well, no, surely it'd be the coffee grams. They're all about the Lavazza, aren't they?
True.
Can you read
Swing
coffee?
and a miss.
Can you read coffee grams?
I mean, I don't see why not.
Only if they spell things out.
Yeah, I mean, I've never known how you read tea leaves.
Well, the trick is, Paul, you don't fucking read tea leaves. What happens is someone
They
drinks a
read
cup of tea. Someone drinks a cup of tea. They give it to someone that's, well, I don't know. Let's use words like con man. And that said con man lies to them for a little bit, and then they give them money and walk away. It's really it's quite the business model.
I mean, the only thing I've ever seen in a cup of tea is a reflection of my sort of disinterested face because I don't drink tea. So
I'm sure there's been like the effigy of Jesus in there as well, because he seems to pop up in all sorts, doesn't he? From cakes to toast.
well, might
To
be
coffee.
Might be. I mean, I've got long hair and an occasional beard, so when I look into the tea disappointedly, it could be Jesus staring back at me and not me.
Oh my god, this sounds like some sort of fucking prog rock project you're going to do.
Jesus in a teacup.
I was just thinking, Jesus staring back at me. That's there, isn't it?
We can't avoid this anymore, can we?
No, we can't. Michael Massey is a spineless jellyfish.
He is. It's okay. I put posts out trying to locate his backbone. It's fine.
I saw that. Yeah.
Are we
I
just
saw
diving straight in with the Massey? Or
Oh,
are we...
No. Well, do you want to go for the incident and our thoughts on that, or do we want to wait until we get to the end? Because
Let's do the teams.
Well, look,
Yes.
honestly, if we go through the teams,
If we go through the teams, we're starting with Williams, so
well, that's easy. Done. Neither of them finished. Alfa Romeo, neither of them finished. Haas, one of them started and finished last. Aston Martin, both outside the points. Standard.
Right. How, just quickly, while we go on at the fact that nobody knows what happened outside of the top two, was anybody else surprised when Sainz got on the podium?
Yes.
I think Sainz for a start. I mean, fucking Sonoda nearly got on the podium. Such was the
I
race.
didn't realise Sainz had got a podium until he stood on the fucking podium. I was like, hang on a fucking second here. You're not Perez or Bottas.
Well, Perez retired. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
now there are rumours doing the rounds
Yes.
about Perez's retirement.
Ted Kravitz has been spreading a rumour which I like very much.
Underfueled him.
Underfueled is the hot rumour, because I think it was engine oil pressure and water leak or something like that, which is very strange to have at the same time. And Perez was surprised when he was retired, which you would think if that was all going off in his engine, he would know. And also, you've got like 2 laps left for the season. Fuck the engine.
Yeah.
But they need to have a fuel sample, don't they? That's the thing.
So yeah.
Yes, just ask Aston Martin about a fuel sample.
Yes, I like hot rumour. It seems
But
reasonable.
Would it matter if he didn't have a fuel sample, because it would only be his car that's like launched out? You know, it's not like if one of your cars can't provide a fuel sample, it's not like the whole team get punished. It's just that one car.
But if your car breaks down on the track when your other car is trying to catch the guy in front of him, it's possibly
That's
not
fair.
ideal.
Yeah, that's fair.
If there was that little fuel left and he didn't have another lap in him.
Yeah, if he just seizes in the middle of the track, then.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think that Perez has already signed his deal for 2023 after that race,
and he would like a golden toilet.
Bloody deserved it. Did you say that somebody got onto his Wikipedia page and said that he'd been made Mexican Minister of Defense?
It's fair. It's entirely fair.
I mean, that was Alonso levels of defending from him.
It was, but if you look at we're talking Red Bull already, what we're doing. If you look at how the times came down, Perez was told to just charge his battery for a couple of laps. He didn't use any battery deployment until Hamilton was on him, and then he obviously used it to defend against Hamilton. And I think he took something like 4 or 5 seconds out of that lead for Hamilton. He really did his job as a teammate, holding up a driver to try and help his teammate win the world championship on track. As it, I think it probably, it was on track at the end of the day, wasn't it? But you know where I'm going with this.
Oh yeah.
So do you want to work from the back and start, and go forwards? Because we can try.
It is the traditional way of doing things.
Yeah. So Williams didn't score any points.
No, neither of them finished the race.
George's last race with Williams
broke down, and Latifi, we know that he crashed after getting dirty tyres trying to pass Mick Schumacher off the circuit.
That's all you can really say. Latifi outqualified Russell for only the second time.
Yes, yeah.
Alfa Romeo then.
Sad for Kimi.
Yeah, didn't want it to end like that.
No, but do all great retirements at the last race of the season then end in retiring from the race? Jenson Button retired in Abu Dhabi with a failure when his last race before he came back at Monaco, but we don't discuss that.
Never happened.
Felipe Massa's original retirement in his last race was at his home race, and I always said he'd never get a better retirement than that, and he didn't.
Nope, out of his 2 retirements, that was his second best. That was his best, sorry. The following year is just, it was a bit of a non-event. Giovinazzi participated.
And then unparticipated and parked his car. Apparently he got confused with where the service road was, which brought out the virtual safety car for Giovinazzi.
Yeah. I don't know why. I have it in my head. He has traditionally maybe not been great at parking next to the gap when he's broken down.
I'm not sure, but yeah.
Is there a case we made? What lap was that? That was somewhere near the middle of the race, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, middling.
There's a case to be made that when Toto came on and demanded that they didn't put a full safety car out, if they had have put a full safety car out, I think either Red Bull would have pitted or Mercedes might have pitted then anyway, just to be on the safe side.
Well, Red Bull did pit under the virtual safety car.
Yeah, they did.
Under the virtual safety car. I wonder if Mercedes would have pitted under a full safety car.
Probably.
Just before it happened, didn't Bono come on the radio and ask Lewis what tyres he would want under a safety car, which suggests they were planning for pitting him under a safety car.
Yeah, and if that would have happened, Lewis would have probably won the championship.
Yep.
Thing is, if they pitted and Max didn't, they would have lost track position.
I don't agree with the not pitting with not pitting if there was more laps, because Lewis had such a pace advantage over Max Verstappen. I don't think Max could have kept Lewis behind.
Particularly behind a full safety car, they'd have been bunched, wouldn't they? So it would have been Hamilton right on Verstappen.
That means forcing them to pass on track, and given that a non-finish for either of the Mercedes were trying to play it safe. They knew they had the pace in that car. I don't. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think their strategy up until those last few laps was absolutely spot on.
Well, I mean, we'll talk about this in a bit anyway, won't we?
Yes.
We keep jumping back to it, but yeah.
We're too excited.
We know where we want to be.
Mm-hmm. Who's next?
Aston Martin. Oh, Haas, sorry. Yeah. Mazepin pulled out with COVID.
Oh, yes, he did. I've forgotten all about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mazepin.
Yep, had about as much impact on the race as he usually does.
I think it was a good race for him.
I mean, it was one of his best, and it was the lowest amount of repair bills that he's caused since he's been in the team.
Do you know what? I really do look forward to seeing if that car's a bit better next year, what both Mick Schumacher and Mazepin are about.
It's been very hard to tell, but I think Mick's going to have the edge on Mazepin just because there's usually about a second in qualifying between them.
Yeah,
Mick's had his moments of being a bit crashy, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I'm talking on pace though. When they're actually both keeping it out of the wall.
But to be fair, we don't even think the two cars are the same. They seem to be cars made out of bits that were left in the factory.
Well, Mazepin's dad bought a new chassis.
And then he crashed that and broke it.
Well, he didn't. He didn't even crash it. He broke it running over the curbs.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. I don't think we can make any judgments because that's I keep going back to the thing because it don't get wrong. It's very easy to go. Mazepin must be fucking awful, but I keep going back to the thing of saying, well, he wasn't. Like I know being a decent F2 driver does not make a Formula One driver, but generally being a decent F2 driver makes you not a terrible Formula One driver. You know, it's you're not like what he is, like so many seconds off your teammate and, you know, properly propping the back of the grid up most of the time. So I feel there's something car related in there.
I mean, he was occasionally a bit crashy in F2.
Yeah, but not slow. That's what I mean. It's not the crashiness. I can take crashiness and but he was never slow.
No, but I mean, when you're on the grid at the same time as our Lord and Saviour Ragnar everyone looks like they're being powered by NASA.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, like Haas came out at the beginning of the year saying, and it was quite clear, especially after what Netflix had put out just before the season started, that Gene didn't want to put any more money into the team. Hence why they took on the massive Russian sponsorship from Mazepin's dad.
Russian Automobile Federation can't say Russian until January 1st.
It's still Russian sponsorship. And the money obviously came in from Mazepin's dad. And they said quite early doors, we're not going to develop the car over 2021. The car you see at the beginning of the season is the car we're going to get at the end of the season. We're essentially writing the season off because we don't think we're going to get an awful lot on it. Even their admin, I don't know if you saw this, their social media admin this week posted, in 2022, I am looking forward to, and then said a couple of things. And then the third thing they wrote was typing P19 and P20 a lot less.
That's amazing. That's so funny.
It wouldn't surprise me if Mazepin or Uralkali or whatever buys the team out. And we'll see the team, but I just don't think it'll have the Haas name on, or Haas will be a minor sponsor of that team as part of the transition. Maybe. And they'll be allowed to race under a Russian flag next year.
Yeah, there is that. Being able to race under, as you say, the Russian anthem, Russian nationality, then, I mean, they've essentially got the Russian flag already on the car.
No, it's just red, white and blue. It's not the Russian flag. There is a definite distinction.
There is not. Especially not when you look at their front wing.
It's meant to be seen from the other side.
Okay.
It's blue, white and red. Yeah, I mean, you can't. We'll do a full season review sometime, sort of Christmas, New Year-ish. But another non-weekend for Haas.
Yeah.
Aston Martin.
A non-season for Haas. Let's be honest.
Yeah, their part of the season review is going to be fucking tiny.
They're fucking. I mean, to be perfectly honest, not only just a non-season, one of those seasons where if they hadn't said at the beginning of the year, we're going to have a terrible year, but wait till next year, we'd be discussing whether Haas will be on the grid next year.
Yeah. how much relief do you think Romain Grosjean and the other guy whose name I've clearly forgotten, Kevin Magnussen. Yeah, him. I nearly said Max Verstappen. Imagine how much relief they feel not driving that car this year.
Grosjean's loving life, isn't he, in America?
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure he is, but you always get this, don't you? Where people leave Formula One and they go, "Oh yeah, it's so much better where I am," and then they get the opportunity to drive the worst car on the grid and go, "I'm going to go back to Formula One and do this for a bit." So I don't know.
I honestly can't see either of those two missing F1 because I mean they're both doing pretty well in Indy and IMSA.
Yeah.
Although K-Mag's actually doing all right in both because he did an Indy race this season.
Did K-Mag did miss the season finale in IMSA though, didn't he? Because he got the shits.
Yes. Yes, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. And isn't he signed up to drive? Is it World Endurance for Peugeot next year?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, who very quietly launched their car at the weekend.
And it looks fucking ace.
Fair dues.
Is Paul Di Resta driving that?
He is as well. It's quite a solid lineup of sort of average F1 drivers. I think they've got. They've got a fairly sort of I remember him kind of lineup.
Oh, well, they've got Gary Paffett as well.
I don't know if they've got Gary Paffett. I can't remember the full squad now, but it was a fairly reasonable.
Can we just start referring to Gary Paffett as the Paff? Because I feel like he deserves a nickname now.
Old timer. Oh, him.
I'm going to stick with the Paff.
Oh, right. Okay. You do.
It has been decided.
McLaren's young driver.
Makes me look young.
Sounds like he's from an unlicensed video game.
Yeah. Like Jacques Villeneuve in F1 97.
Yes.
Or an F1 manager who was John Newhouse. So moving on to Aston Martin, the Vet and the Struh.
Yep, they were there, weren't they?
Full-on participation from both of them. And not a point to show for it. Aston Martin really have gone backwards.
They've clearly just switched off onto next year, haven't they? I think they've given up.
Early season complaints, if you remember, that the new rules hampered their copy of the Mercedes from the 2019, and their development of it obviously wasn't as wasn't as well managed, should we say, as Mercedes have managed with theirs. And I think they threw the towel in and decided to concentrate on 2022 quite early on. Hence the moving backwards.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Sean that tweeted this. I'll never forget that Vettel and Stroll are driving a car that was developed in 2018.
Because that's the thing. They stole that design or borrowed from, were inspired by for 1 year, not expecting to have to deal with it for 2 years, and then the whole COVID sitch.
Yeah, it's well worth pointing out as well that Aston Martin, I don't know if you've mentioned this on the podcast, or it might have been on one that I missed. Aston Martin have signed Red Bull and Mercedes senior aerodynamicists.
Saw that.
They've been shopping.
Now it's just a question of who's going to be team principal next year.
They're not fucking around, so,
Well, I mean, that's like Aston Martin. It's not like, I know it wasn't sort of, it's not the brand that it used to be, but you don't just go and buy Aston Martin to repaint your cars, to give it to give your Formula One team that you don't care about an actual brand. That shows there's some sort of thought going into what's going to happen for the long term.
There was a racing point to it all.
Ooh, tough one. Tough one.
That one, that hurt. That.
McLaren next then. Season ending.
Another team that have gone backwards.
Yeah, season ending with a whimper and not a bang.
Yeah,
I mean, Lando was looking good. I was going to say Lando was looking good after qualifying, so getting third, and then cocked the start up and never recovered.
He also had a slow puncture late on that dropped him.
He did, didn't he? Yes.
Yeah, I think he was on for was he fighting Gasly when he got the puncture?
I think he might have been fighting Gasly when he got the puncture.
And Gasly finished fifth, so I think Lando's had a fairly bright first half of the season, and the second half, with the exception being obviously the Russian Grand Prix, Monza and Russia. After that, it was quite steeply downhill for McLaren.
Still finished the season as the only team with a 1-2, though.
Yeah, they did.
Which
the
is
only
mad.
team with a 1-2. Imagine going back to like March and being like, only one team this year will score a 1-2 finish.
And
Who
it
do you
won't
think
be
it'll
Merc
be?
or Red Bull.
You'd be like, oh, probably Mercedes. Yeah, Mercedes. Maybe Perez doesn't work out at Red Bull. Or Mercedes has scored loads of 1-2s. Ferrari seems like that's not going to happen after their shittest 2020 ever. And McLaren, absolutely not. No. And yet here we are. McLaren are the only team with a 1-2 finish.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Danny didn't do anything to trouble the scorers most of this weekend.
No, very anonymous race for him, I think.
We've got a lot of participation awards to hand out on this race.
Everyone gets a prize.
Alpine.
Well, not everyone.
No. Mazepin doesn't because he didn't start.
Oh.
He gets a qualifier's medal. Alpine, Ocon in 9th and Alonso in 8th. Probably...
Yeah, total reversal of their result in Jeddah, where it was the other way around. Are they the most improved team over the season from beginning to end?
Possibly.
They did look a bit shonky at the start, but they have come good, which could be a worry for next year.
El Plan on the back of their wings. Don't know if anybody else spotted that.
Yeah, what was that about?
El Plan is what Alonso talks about.
Oh, is this an Alonso mantra?
Yeah.
Coming soon
El
to
Plan.
a Kamoa cap near you.
Oh,
yeah.
Right, okay. Not his new brand of hat.
No.
Because don't forget, wear hats, they go on your head. That's this week's sponsorship done. Yeah, I don't know what I didn't know what the L plan meant, but no, they have come on quite a lot.
Do you think that's who he thinks he drives for? This L plan.
No, it's pronounced Alpine, Fernando.
No, it's El Plan. Does anyone see the greatest Secret Santa present in the world?
No.
Nobody saw this.
No.
Lee, did you see it?
No, is this one of
No
the
one's
Formula One
seen
drivers?
Yes.
The only one of the
I'm not going to
Formula
say
One-
anything because I'm sure all the listeners would Google Daniel Ricciardo's Secret Santa present.
So is this? Sorry, I was half listening there. Is this within the drivers, not within McLaren, that have had this?
No. The drivers did some Secret Santa, and Daniel Ricciardo
Excellent.
got a Secret Santa present.
Right, I'm looking for this now. Daniel Ricciardo, Secret Santa, and what comes
Go
up?
to images.
First thing that comes up for me is a pair
Is
of
Alonso
sunglasses.
tattoo?
His Alonso tattoo.
Oh, hell!
Look at it.
Is that like one of those stick-on ones you had when you were a kid?
I hope
Yeah,
not.
his Secret Santa was Fernando Alonso, and he gave him a temporary tattoo of his face.
That is amazing. I mean, it's on there, isn't it? Ricardo has obviously gone all in.
Totally.
I like the idea that like Fernando didn't even think the Secret Santa present had to be a joke. It was just like what?
Like,
what
Daniel
would
likes
somebody
tattoos. I'll get him my
If you
face.
zoom in on Fernando's face, he's not smiling. It's a fairly serious expression.
It's like a PR photo. It's like one of his team photos.
Whatever happened to the Fernando Alonso app? Is that still actually active?
Well, he had. I did not know about this. He had an app.
Oh, he had an app with
He did have
exclusive
an
Fernando and Kimura
Right.
emojis. I didn't put it on my new phone when I got it in February because I don't think I'd used it for about a year. Since I downloaded it, looked at it and thought, I'm not using that again. Not that you've got much of a use for a Fernando Alonso emoji on that's only usable on one app and nothing else.
I vaguely remember him having a set of emojis.
Yeah, that was from the app, I think.
Yeah, we'll pass on that. Have we got anything more to say about Alpine this weekend apart from tattoos and rear wings?
No, good show.
I
quite enjoyed the. I think did they do it in Saudi Arabia as well? The green on the car for the Castrol sponsorship at the back.
Yeah, I think it looks a bit out of place.
No, I like it. I prefer the green to the red. I think.
If they're gonna, I don't know. It just looks sort of slapped on.
Yeah, I think it probably was, but I still like
a Fernando Alonso tattoo.
Guess what they're replacing it with next season if they don't have sponsorship from Castrol? Needs more Kimoa. AlphaTauri. Tsunoda with his best ever result in fourth. He was rapid all weekend.
This is like the weekend he had in Saudi Arabia, but he managed not to drive into anyone.
Yes.
He is incredibly quick. It's just that, he's been quite messy along the way, but this is like actual showing his potential Tsunoda. It was good.
It's quite telling, isn't it, that Alex Albon appears to be the world's best driver coach.
Yeah, so that means when he goes to Williams next year, Tsunoda's fucked.
And Latifi might do quite well.
Maybe.
Or Logan Sargent, who's doing F2 next year with Williams. With
there
Williams
is that.
backing.
Oh, that is he's the new Dick Tantrum, isn't he?
He is. Hence, Williams have paid for a Carlin seat for him.
That would explain it.
I agree with Jensen Button. It's the proper American. You know, if you were to write an American comic about a racing driver, his name probably would be Logan Sargent.
He's got a brother who does like some of the American series as well, who has an equally American name that I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Chuck?
It might be Chase.
Oh.
It might be Chase. Let me quickly...
I mean, half of the NASCAR drivers appear to be called Chase.
It's all right. Half of British touring car drivers are called Ayrton or Senna.
A lot of Sebastians as well. There's a lot of Sebastians. Dalton. That's what Logan's brother is called.
Dalton Sargent.
Yes.
It's a good name.
It's a very American.
I mean,
name.
it's a solid American sports name. You would expect to hear somebody on ESPN say that.
Or any CEO of an American company.
Yes.
You know, I mean like a good one. Like I could see Dalton Sargent being like the CEO of Google or something. You know, not fucking around. No one called Dalton Sargent because he's still working for like Ask Jeeves or something like that.
Did anyone work for Ask Jeeves when they were going?
Yeah, a guy called Jeeves. he had to like manually fucking search everything on Ala Vista and then give it to people. That was his job.
He was the worst of all the search engines.
But you wanted him to be so good, didn't you? He was the plucky underdog.
Yeah, but he was terrible.
Yeah.
You would ask Jeeves, and Jeeves wouldn't know the answer.
But could you imagine if it was good now? Instead of saying, like, I'm going to annoy people now, instead of saying things like, hey, Google and Siri,
imagine being like, Jeeves?
Jeeves, yeah.
Just like ringing a bell or something to get his attention.
And a little butler pops up on your phone. It's like, what would you like today, sir? And it'd be fucking great. Ah.
I'm gonna.
And every time he popped up, we would go, boobs, is it Master Stevens?
I'm going to reprogram one of the Alexas.
to be a Jeeves.
Yeah.
A boob hunting Jeeves.
Oh, no, in that case, I won't reprogram the one that came free with the doorbell, just in case.
Probably not. No, that's probably a good idea.
No, don't want too many boobs turning up at the front door. We've only just moved house. We're trying to not upset the new neighbours. Even though technically they are the old neighbours because we've only moved 50 metres.
True.
Is it Leslie Phillips, the guy who used to go ding dong?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the best sort of butler-style doorbell to have, surely.
Another person who died recently, who I thought had already died, actually.
We seem to have strayed from talking about AlphaTauri here.
We have. They were good. Tsunoda was the better of the two, but all in all, are they nearly as much improved as Alpine?
Possibly.
I think they started well. Gasly's just had for me, outside of probably Verstappen and Hamilton, I mean, everybody today is saying that Carlos Sainz has probably been the best driver over the season because he's finished 5th in the championship. He's beaten Leclerc in his first season in Ferrari. And, if Ferrari have a decent car, he would be the driver that probably would bring home the championship for Ferrari more than Charles Leclerc. Mm-hmm. But I actually think Pierre Gasly has had a more solid and better season in a car that's clearly not supposed to be as good as that Ferrari.
Yeah,
he has just been very consistent, hasn't he? And even like this weekend, finishing 5th, he started quite a bit down the order. He didn't have a great qualifying. He was a fair bit behind Tsunoda on the grid.
Yeah.
Or certainly a few places anyway. So to finish right behind his teammate was solid.
I think it was Lando Norris. If you take Lewis and Verstappen out, purely because going into the championship, we thought there was no huge expectations for Carlos. I don't think, or Leclerc. No, or Leclerc, given how bad, how bad Ferrari have been.
Yeah,
but I don't know about you, but as for someone that really likes Lando and wants him to do well, I was really fucking nervous about him going up against Daniel Ricciardo. Like, to the point where I think that could have been like a career-defining moment. If Ricciardo would have walked in and just done him, I struggle to wonder how he would have come through that.
I don't know. He seems pretty resilient. I think it'd bounce back harder, but
but in the team's eyes, if you pay big money for Daniel Ricciardo, and he comes in and wipes out your, he wipes out your in-house lad, I think that puts you in different standings,
like he did with Vettel.
Yeah.
Surely that proves that Lando Norris is better than Vettel, doesn't it?
It does. That definitively proves it.
I think Lando Norris last year looked like a very good Formula One driver.
Very much so.
I think this year he looks like a potential world champion.
I mean, don't forget on being better than Vettel, Christian Horner now appears to have forgotten that he won 4 world championships with Vettel.
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking the taste of Vettel has been slapped clean out of his chops, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we have to congratulate Red Bull on their first drivers' championship, apparently. Which we will do in a minute because we haven't done Ferrari yet. The binary team of the week.
Yeah.
Where was Leclerc? I cannot remember where Leclerc was.
He finished 10th.
He inherited 10th when Perez retired.
Okay, fair enough.
And I think that's about all you can say for him this weekend.
I don't remember anything that he did.
No, he was so anonymous he could have been in a Sauber.
I know what he did. He got scared when Verstappen came out of the pits and went wide.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah, that was not good.
Yeah, he kind of forgot to turn.
Cool, look, a Red Bull.
But yeah, how did we miss Sainz getting onto the podium? Because I've said since the start of Sainz's career in F1, he just gets on with it quietly, and it's like, oh my god, he's just popped up in a position that he shouldn't be in.
Well, yeah, he was 5th when the safety car came out, and then Perez retired, and Bottas just apparently went backwards for a bit, and yeah, Sainz and Tsunoda passed him, and Gasly, I think.
Yes, Gasly did get past Bottas. Right, that leaves us with 2 teams.
Are we doing them together?
Bottas was a non-event.
Yes.
Absolutely anonymous. Even Nico Rosberg's outfits this weekend were more noticeable. Mainly because at one point he was dressed like a bottle of Heineken.
He has discovered green. It's very exciting. Rosberg has discovered green / been paid by Heineken to wear some green.
They were cool shoes.
I mean, the match the belt, definitely, which was also in Heineken green.
Yes.
I thought he looked sharp as ever.
Yeah, it was exciting to see him in a bit of colour, but whether or not we were looking at some product placement, I have my doubts.
Product placement?
Yes, buy green stuff, like Heineken.
Why green?
The colour of his accessories was the same colour as the Heineken logo.
Okay.
Massive conjecture, but he does advertise Heineken Zero.
He do.
You see, we're talking about Rosberg's outfit, which is usually an absolute nothing of blandness, instead of talking about Bottas, who this weekend was a nothing of blandness.
He wore a blue suit.
I mean, as an end to your career with the most successful team in recent years in F1, that was a bit.
He did do a celebratory dive into either the marina or a swimming pool or a yacht pool.
It was the marina.
The marina. As Mercedes were like going into the stewards. He's there doing his celebratory splash.
Yeah, it's only hijinks and fun when the rest of the team aren't going, walk the plank. Well,
I think it was Valtteri's side of the garage, wasn't it, who were with him there. And obviously Lewis's side of the garage were incensed at what they just witnessed.
Otherwise occupied.
Yeah, should we talk about that now then?
Yeah, because, I mean, we've already done the Perez DNF. Mm-hmm. So...
great start by Lewis to put Max behind.
Yep.
I still don't know about that first lap incident, whether Lewis gave back as much of the advantage as he got by cutting that corner. But at the same time, he had to avoid a collision.
Yeah, Max was doing his usual, I am putting the car here, you can move out of the way or there will be a crash.
It's the thing with the first lap incident, isn't it? You have to sometimes give a little bit more sort of room within the rules.
Yeah, I don't think, he might have lifted off for about half a second and then gunned it again. But the Mercedes, with those tyres on, in race condition, was a lot faster.
Yeah, it was. And, for most of the race, it looked like Mercedes had it in hand, and then came those last 6 laps after Latifi had crashed,
and then the whole universe went to shit.
I'll start. Okay, I can understand totally why the safety car was brought out. There were men on the track. There was a vehicle on the track. They needed a safety car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct. And I totally understand the decision to not allow lapped cars to pass, because they thought, well, if we let the lapped cars pass, we might not be able to restart this race. I get that. That makes sense. To then go and only allow the cars that were between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen to pass, given that Verstappen was on a brand new set of softs, or
yes,
lightly used set of softs, brand new set of softs. I mean, there was only ever going to be one outcome. I mean, even if you had that one lap of racing, which we did get, and what I don't understand is why Ferrari didn't protest it a little bit as well, because the cars between Verstappen and Sainz weren't allowed to pass. And Sainz could have had a really decent opportunity if those two had touched and gone off the circuit, even if they'd run wide or something. Sainz could have had a fantastic opportunity to win a race there if they'd let all the cars past. Now, there is, I think Lando alluded to this in his post-race interview. If Mercedes didn't react the way that Red Bull reacted, because their understanding of the rules was how the rules are set out, then that does give them a bit of a sporting disadvantage. However, and I understand their anger at what happened, and I understand why there's a grievance, Red Bull didn't do anything wrong, and Max Verstappen was given an opportunity that he fully grasped with both hands. He took it and won his first world championship by overtaking a car on the last lap Lewis Hamilton knows exactly how that feels, winning your first world championship by overtaking a car on the last lap. Maybe not your championship rival, but he knows how much late drama, could unfold in a season. He had it in his first title year. Mercedes.
That's why people are now calling him Timo Latifi.
Yeah, Mercedes didn't do anything wrong. Red Bull didn't do anything wrong. For me, it was again, and I've said this on previous podcasts, that arguing with the rule makers never reflects well on the sport and all the fans. It just makes everything look very ugly. But for me, it was the guys who made the decision in the office who totally decided that world championship there and then. I said on the chat group, it's Max's title. As soon as they said they were going racing again, I said it's done. Mm-hmm. Max has won this championship. There's no way that there was ever going to be any other outcome. And it felt a little bit to me like it was made for a show because people were watching F1 who probably wouldn't normally watch F1, and they had to give them something exciting to watch. That's how it felt to me. Again, I don't begrudge Red Bull or Verstappen at all whatsoever. Total worthy world champion, deserved it, as much as Lewis Hamilton would have deserved it if he had won it. But you can only have one world champion, and it feels artificial to me. Just the very end, obviously not the 22 races before or 21 races before that, but it's just the very end of the very last race. Why did it have to be then that the stewards decided to use a rule that overrides any of the other rules? Why are those rules there if they're allowed to use this other article that says we can do what we want? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I would be very surprised if that section of the sporting regulations does not get updated before the start of the next season, because I almost have a small degree of empathy with Michael Massey in that he wanted to get it back to green racing and he wanted to let the championship play out. But
yeah, totally.
I think it's the fact that initially there was no, we're not going to let the unlapped cars, cars unlap themselves. And then there's obviously been this argument with Red Bull where all of a sudden, all right, well, we'll let those ones go. That changing of the mind is not strong leadership, that someone can just get in your ear and all of a sudden you make that decision. If he was bothered about wanting to have the green flag racing at the end, probably should have just red flagged it when Latifi crashed.
Yeah, and also we've seen, was it 2012 when Vettel won the World Championship? That finished under a safety car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, championships have finished under safety cars in the past.
That's my issue. I don't really buy the just spicing up to make it good for the fans. If Michael Massey would have been good all year, I could have probably bought that. But he's took every opportunity to drop the ball that's come across his path. Every play that's been thrown at him, he's fumbled somewhere along the line.
You've been watching NFL. That was remarkably on point.
Yeah, I try, but he's. I just don't believe that he has the capacity to fucking engineer the end of a race. I think he's panicked.
Yeah, I don't think it was on purpose. I think his intentions were probably good. I just think the execution was
I think they
poor at best.
Yeah, because what they did was they didn't drop the safety car quick enough. They didn't allow the lapped cars to lap themselves quick enough. If they'd have done this earlier and allowed all the cars to get past and then done that lap round with the safety car, none of these issues. But I can't see, and the more I've looked at this quite a lot, and I've had listeners send me clips from the rules and regulations and stuff like that. If Mercedes took this to a tribunal, I don't know what would happen, because even if the whole race was thrown out, Max Verstappen is still the world champion.
Yeah.
I don't know what they get out of it, but I can't see them losing. And that's the problem for me here. Is everyone that listens to this podcast that actually listens? No, I'm not a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, and lots of the stuff that's gone on over the past 2 years has quite annoyed me with what's been dragged into the sport that I don't really think should be there. But he was robbed. He was robbed because the rules weren't followed. If there is no way from when they dropped that safety car, there is no way Lewis Hamilton should have lost that championship, because if they'd followed the first set of rules, you don't let the cars unlap themselves. So Lewis gets to dart off and get a couple of seconds because he had the pace on Max, but he would have had a couple of seconds on Max before he could get through the back markers. Lewis wins the world championship. If they allowed all the back markers to unlap themselves and then the safety car does another lap and comes in, Lewis wins the world championship. There is no aspect in the actual rules as they stand when Max Verstappen wins that championship.
The problem with the rules is they only cover the situation of allowing all the back markers to unlap themselves. There's nothing in the rules that explicitly says you can't only allow some of them. There's just nothing in the rules to say how that should be carried out. The problem with the sporting regulations is they are designed to be ambiguous so that they can be interpreted and implied as per the situation. So the rules weren't followed as they were set out because the situation wasn't let's let all the back markers unlap themselves. It was a different situation, so none of the rules were valid.
The problem with that is that they shouldn't be allowed to allow half the cars to unlap themselves.
I think the rules will be changed by this time next year, but the rules that were in place for that race that were only updated on when is the 8th? Was that Wednesday last week? That was the last time the sporting regulations were revised, and there's nothing in them to say you cannot do that.
There's nothing that says you can. It says,
but that's the thing with the sporting regulations. They only say what you can't do. Everything else is go.
I would argue there's been no precedent set for it, and the problem I've got with it is why that shouldn't be, and it shouldn't be looked at as an option at all. Mm-hmm. Is that if you let 5 cars unlap themselves, you've just fucked car 6.
Yeah, but car 6. Yeah.
Well, the sixth lap.
The sixth
car.
lap. I'm with you. I was going to say car 6 was in the wall by this point.
But
legally, from the point of view of the appeal, nothing has. The rules haven't technically been breached because those rules just don't exist.
It was also the lack of time between the changing the announcement to saying that the cars in between Lewis and Verstappen could unlap themselves.
That's where I think for me that's where they're like, oh, that's not good.
Straight away saying the safety car was coming in. You know, it was
rushed.
There was next to no time to react, and this is why I think Massey is just not good at handling the pressure. Yeah. Because he'd spent a lot of the safety car period on the phone between him, Toto, Horner, Jonathan
Wheatley,
Jonathan Wheatley, who appears to be overly vocal. And then that leaves him with next to no time to make the most important decisions of the season, which is basically who is going to be put in a position to win this championship. I think the only option would have been a red flag. That would have been fair.
As someone else pointed out this afternoon, that the absolute fairest way to do it would have been to drop a red flag and have a safety car restart. Allow the car drop a red flag. Get all the cars in line and have a safety car restart. Therefore, you eliminate the prospect of Max just fucking bailing it into the side of Lewis at T1. And you essentially give Lewis his gap back with fresh tyres. So I suppose in that case, it's not fair, is it? Because Red Bull were the ones that took the gamble, and you're then giving Mercedes a free pit stop. It was just a fucking mess. The top and bottom of it is it should have ended behind a safety car.
Either it should have ended behind a safety car or it should have been red flagged But as I say, hindsight's a wonderful thing. Even if Mercedes do intend to pursue appeal after appeal, I don't think they can get the World Championship overturned. I think the best they could ever get would be to have the race result declared null and void. And in that case, Max Verstappen's still world champion anyway. Mm-hmm. So,
unless there's precedent for,
it's not fair to take the world championship away from Max because he didn't do anything wrong.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's the thing. The drivers just followed the rules that were set down to them from race control at that point. There's not much else they can do. They've got other things going on. They ain't got time to be questioning Section 48-12 of the sporting regulations.
I think that's what they'd be pushing for, though, is to because I think didn't Toto say this it should go back a lap. It should go back to the lap before the safety car as the result. So that's obviously if they decide to take it to a tribunal, that's what they're going to push for, isn't it? But the thing is, last lap should be void because it wasn't legal. It wasn't a legal lap of the race.
But the thing is, they wouldn't be able to do that. They can only take it to the end of the last completed lap when the race has been red flagged. If they were to void the last lap, then again, that would give it to Hamilton, wouldn't it? It would be the last lap under the safety car.
Yeah.
Also, Toto has texted Max today to congratulate him and tell him he's a worthy champion, which if they wanted to go quite that far with their appeal, Red Bull would be able to submit as an admission of concession, essentially.
Lewis Hamilton retires, Max Verstappen to Mercedes confirmed.
Ooh, now here's a conspiracy. Gotta be honest, a Max George driver lineup, that would be lively, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Quite like to see it.
I think that was something. I think George got quite a lot of undue flack for his tweets. I think he was quite within his right to voice his opinion of, and people were just going, "Oh, it's because he's a Mercedes driver," and they seem to forget that George was the only guy that stood up for Albon when Albon was going, and essentially, if you remember that interview of George Russell saying like essentially Red Bull are doing over Albon, making him look stupid, and he's not. Basically torching any chance he had of driving a Red Bull. I think he's a guy that seems to speak his mind, regardless of whether it's a good idea or not.
And he's friends with Verstappen as well. I'm sure he wouldn't have sort of felt the need to vent his stuff unduly.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a hell of a lot of Verstappen hate on the internet since the race finished yesterday, and I think it's completely and utterly misplaced.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've been told that I had I said that whichever way you look at it, Max Verstappen's a worthy world champion. And it
How dare you?
I know, and one of the replies to my tweet was, "This is the worst take I've ever seen."
Ever?
So I said,
on anything?
Let me see if I can find the tweet. Give me one moment.
Wow.
That seems like, if I don't want to speak out of turn, but that seems like a tiny overreaction.
Does feel like a real overreaction, doesn't it?
Take.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Chris.
No, it's just you can say which I said whichever way you look at it, Max Verstappen is a worthy champion. I have a feeling it might go to sports arbitration over that FIA decision, but I can't see how you can overturn the title winner. He led coming into Abu Dhabi, and he leaves as the champion. And then I got many, many replies to this. And a man called Troy and Abed, or an account called Troy and Abed, worst take I've ever seen on anything.
On anything? Any topic in the whole world, that's the worst take.
Slightly confused, I responded, my take or the FIA in general? And he responded, both. Max only won because FIA gave it to him by not following their own rules. How is he deserving?
But hang on, they can't both be the worst take. One of them surely has to be worse than the other, or by definition, neither are the worst.
My response.
Well, no. If they both seem to be the worst, you got to go on count back and see which one had the most worst takes.
But My response to that was, you don't win the title over one lap. It's been over 22 Grand Prix. Going to Abu Dhabi, they were level, but Max was ahead on wins. The potential was always there for controversy, and it has been. But you don't go into the last race of the season still in the hunt if you're not worthy. Again, a response that said, FIA picked the winner by breaking their own rules. Red Bull had the faster car for most of the season. Lol. So I replied, they broke their own rules for all 22 races.
Right. I'm not being funny. These are
no
the
more
same
replies.
people as well. These are the same people that tweeted Formula One are breaking their own back to make Formula One suitable for Lewis and things like that. You know, it's these are the same people that would have had a problem anyway. I know you get like militant fans of people, but then there's also a subsection of Formula One fans which are just never fucking happy with anything. They're
people
the ones
who just
that
like to moan.
Yeah, they're the ones that if we decided not to do sprint races, they go, well, we should have had sprint races. And then like we've had what I would say 3 reasonably successful sprint races, and they go, yeah, but it's just a gimmick, isn't it? And I fucking hate them all. I really fucking hate them.
You like to moan about the moaners.
Yes. That's why I perfected my moany voice.
You've had years of practice. No, I mean, I've never seen such a toxic atmosphere on Twitter as I have this weekend.
It wasn't toxic. It was fucking great. I mean, I
it was. As a
wonderful.
spectator sport, it was fantastic.
300 tweets I messaged back. Around about that, because I looked at, because when I saw how many people I was messaging, I had a quick look at like my previously sent tweets, and then up till this morning, it was like about 300 tweets I put out to people between that and PMs. It was fucking great. It was like it's what it must be like to be like a celebrity all the time.
Well, no, it can't have been, because you answered, and technically, if you're a celebrity, you don't.
They have people to do that for them, don't they?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Maybe you need people.
No, I didn't need people. I did it all myself. I fucking sold myself short.
Yeah, that photo you tweeted out this morning, you had Shunt Jr. on the wrong kind of keyboard. How is the piano playing going?
It's good. I learned how to play Wide Open Space at the weekend, and it sounds all right.
You have to record something and we'll stick it out.
Maybe. I did look at the Formula One theme tune, thinking this very thing, and then realised it has all of the chords. All of the chords.
It is a big dramatic number.
Nah, nothing will ever top the shitty flute version of it. So.
It's beyond my little fingers, I'm afraid.
I'm almost loath to say this, but as it's a usual feature, rock stars and massies.
Michael Massey wanker.
No, we'll just call it rock stars and massies from now on.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez rock star for defending like a rock star.
That sounded like you.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, can't fault that. Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah.
Rock star.
Fast and didn't crash.
Carlos Sainz, new age music star, because you didn't actually notice him doing what he did, but then all of a sudden he became very successful, and it was like, how did that happen?
I like that. Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
Right, on Santa's naughty list this week. To be honest, you can't really say anyone else but Massey, can you?
Whoever built the bit of Kimmy's car that broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honorary rock star for Kimmy, just because we'll never get to call him a rock star in an F1 race again. And Giovinazzi Participation Award, everyone except Mazepin, who didn't participate. Have we got anything more to say on that? I've got to be honest.
No, I don't want to repeat myself over and over again, but I just think it was embarrassing for Formula One fans to know that there were so many non-Formula One fans watching, and high-profile non-Formula One fans as well. People like Gary Lineker have been very vocal on Twitter. Piers Morgan, and and even they can see how farcical the end of that race seemed to everyone else, and for the eyes of the world were on the sport, and it embarrassed itself.
Yeah.
Completely. I mean, I've seen a lot of tweets this weekend from people who I've never seen tweet about Formula One before, talking about it. Richard Osman was a particular one. It is my aim to get him on the same show as Virtual Statman sometime. That would just be incredible.
That would be intense.
Yeah, but none of us would have to say anything. They could just carry the whole thing by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never known a weekend like it for F1.
It was always going to end like this, though, wasn't it? You know, when you actually think about it, when you think about the way this championship's been the whole way, it felt like it was destined to end in controversy. You know, I know Mercedes have had a lot of stuff thrown their way, saying, "Oh, well, they brought their lawyer with them."
No, we've lost it.
Brought their lawyer with them because there was a good chance Max. What?
You're back.
You're back.
You briefly
We lost
stalled,
you for a
but you're back.
second.
I could always hear Lee.
Oh.
Yeah, there was an they got quite a lot of shit for having the lawyers with them. You go, yeah, well they had their fucking lawyer with them, but they had their lawyer with them because there was a really, really good chance that Max Verstappen might have just tried to fucking take out the Lewis Hamilton. That's what he was there for. He wasn't there for what his purpose ended up. They didn't bring him because they thought they were going to have to try and take the FIA to court. It was worrying about Max. There was always this tension in the air where you just thought, this is not going to go the way anybody wants it to. Something is going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but I think we'd have probably been disappointed if it had ended in Lewis sort of casually just drifting 15 seconds down the road and everyone else pootling around behind him. I think we always wanted a little bit of drama. Possibly not quite as many bits of drama as we got, but
I wish they'd either let Max go for it with all the cars not unlapping themselves, or it finished behind a safety car, because if that had happened, we wouldn't have any of this talk.
If that would have happened, Nicholas Latifi would never have been allowed to buy a pint of Heineken ever again without getting it smashed in his face.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at one of the reasons Alonso hasn't got another championship is because of fucking Valtteri Petrov, isn't it? Now and again, these guys that just pool around the back of the grid fuck things up for the big guys.
Talking of which, I need to get my iRacing rig set up again sometime soon. Yeah, but that's part of racing. You know, if you're quick, you're going to be quicker than everyone else, and there's going to be some slow ones that you're going to end up tripping over, and you've got to deal with it.
Absolutely. Still, I mean, whichever way we look at it, because I've seen lots of tweets as well from people saying, I'm never watching Formula 1 again. But,
yeah, the usual reply to that is, right.
Yeah, good moany voice again.
Yeah, see you in March.
The thing is, it's still the best season of Formula 1 I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be talking about this, good or bad, for a hell of a long time to come.
This was more entertaining, more historically important to the sport than Hunt Lauder or Senna Prost.
And I think that's down to the fact that Formula 1 has a much bigger profile now than it had back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a social media thing. Sorry, bad thing.
I think there's the other side of it as well. I know you might get some sort of hate for this, but
send all tweets to a total shunt.
Do it. Especially if you don't follow me, come follow me. I keep getting to like 1,170 followers, and then it sort of just hits a cap, and then like some will drift off and some will drift on. I've just been there for ages, so come follow me. But I think the difference is, especially if we look at Senna and Prost, both Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen are better than Alain Prost, and both of them are at least as good as Ayrton Senna. And I think that's the difference, is that you had two drivers of an unbelievably high caliber fighting for a world championship.
And I think this has been the best championship fight we've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean,
they are literally worth two Ayrton Sennas.
So half a Mazepin, according to your earlier maths this season. Gonna have to delve into the archives for the season review show, I think, on that one.
Yeah, probably.
No, we've never seen a season like it. I mean, the last major incident in the last race of the season where the championship was decided gave us Jerez 97. And that was peanuts compared to what we've watched.
Yeah. Even down to the fact that when you look at like the bit players in this championship, think about how long Lando held on to third in the championship for. The fact that like, Bottas and Perez you were like, are they doing their job? Are they any good? I mean, fucking Bottas was absolutely useless in this race.
Kind of sums up his season. Let's do a season review show sometime over Christmas and New Year.
That sounds delightful.
Take a break. We'll take a break next week for sort of the festering season.
That also sounds delightful.
But we'll do a review show sometime over Christmas.
Long
week.
enough from now for the dust to settle, but not so long that we've forgotten what the facts happened.
Exactly.
That's what we need. That's a sweet spot.
Yeah, I've got a load of show notes, and we'll get something sorted out. I'll even try and get some contributions from listeners as well. And anybody else that wants to pitch in with their thoughts. I'll work it out, and I'll stick a tweet out or something about that, about how you can get in touch and leave a message. Have you got a shunt?
Absolutely not. I have got. They are there. They are in the inbox, but I'm gonna have to dig through them because after the fucking torrent of messages I've had over the past 24 hours, they are deep in the total shunt mine.
I can drag one out.
We could do it if you want, mate. I cannot be bothered to look through all the messages again.
I feel like the ones you get sent are always like extra 20.
We'll see how we get on. We'll see how we get on with this. I mean, don't forget you got Lee on your side. This is from. Oh, right. Okay. There's another reason why I got sent this one.
He's got a name, has he? Okay. One of them funky names.
Sabayan. Okay. Chattopadhyay.
That's not a person, that's a wine.
I have probably crucified his name, and I do apologise for absolutely mangling that.
Think you'll find he's a fruity red.
He's supposed to have a new name in the mix, though.
He sent me the shunt in 2 emails. One with the questions, and an apology one to follow up, including the answer. Right, here we go. I was born in 1958 with little to no racing heritage.
Little to no racing heritage is
1958. Okay.
I have been through the racing hierarchy from Formula Renault, Formula 3, 2, and then Formula 1.
So that would have been old Formula 2.
Mm. And I was in only 6 F1 races, concluding my career in 1978.
Oh, 78. See, I'm out here because it's before me.
Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not great at this era.
6 F1 races concluded in 1978.
And I will need a guess.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, I think I was gonna go Twitter nemesis Tiffany Dell, who I actually agreed with this week.
Hey, stopped clock.
Yeah, twice a year.
Stop clock. It's sometimes called Tiffany Dell.
Stopped calendar.
Is my maths right that this person is 63 if they are still with us?
Yeah, I think so.
I've no idea how old Tiffany Dell is.
70, so not Tiffany Dell.
Fair dues. We'll rule him out.
But do you want that as your first guess anyway, because you appear to have got nothing better?
And to be fair, I have zero other shit to contribute.
No.
Yeah, got nothing.
Well, looks to it. Tiffany Dale.
Clue
Yeah,
4. Right, clue 4. I moved on to motorbikes and took part in 18 MotoGP races.
I mean, was he the master of not finishing a season?
No, back in the day, that probably would have been a full season, 18.
Maybe, yeah.
In later years...
It's not more than a season, yeah.
In later years, I was involved with other FIA events, such as GT Championship, World Touring Cars, and DTM.
Nope.
Nope. Same.
And out of the 6 F1 Grand Prix winners I shared a track with, only the Frenchman didn't win a World Drivers' Championship.
Sorry, repeat that clue again.
Right. Out of the 6 F1 Grand Prix winners I shared a track with...
So the 6 races that they competed in, there were 6 different winners.
Only the Frenchman did not win a World Drivers' Championship.
René Arnoux, probably. Well, no, René Arnoux was probably later than that.
So
Well,
who would the 5 likely to have been? I'm guessing Prost, not Prost, Lauda.
No, it's 2. Maybe.
Scheckter.
Possibly. Only the Frenchmen. So the French drivers from that, the Jacques Lafitte and René Arnoux, about the only 2 that I can think of from roughly around that time.
It doesn't help us identify the driver that we're looking for, but
No, it doesn't. Not at all. No.
Do we have one more before we're guessing?
No, that was clue
Oh,
6.
for fuck's
It's
sake.
guess time.
Absolutely none.
No.
I mean, to take part in Formula 1 before you're 20 as well, back then...
Do we outright know that this is a person
No.
at this stage? Like, are we thinking it could be an entity?
Cosworth started in 1958,
And has flitted.
but has done many, many more Grand Prix than just 6.
Yes, that's very true.
I'm enjoying this one.
Good.
I am starting to lean towards not a human.
Is that your second guess?
Are we talking about the guy or Paul?
I was specifically
Red wine.
referencing the shunt, but I will leave it open to your interpretation. I don't know. I think it could be like a tire manufacturer or a helmet, or
We've had a glass eye before.
we have had a glass eye before. I'm thinking it's probably not the glass eye again.
Oh, I don't think Helmut Marko would have done any races with a glass eye, would he? Possibly not.
That is still my favourite shunt of all time.
Mine was Mario Kart. And it was like one of the first ones as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. If you go onto Discord, somebody is still compiling a list of all previous total shunts.
Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to look at that.
It's on a spreadsheet. I'll download it and send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lightning McQueen is on there a surprising amount.
I would like to say, first of all, thank you very much for doing that. Second, fucking nerd.
Hey, it's a spreadsheet. I'm not going to argue with them, am I?
I can't think of anybody who.
I wonder how he has time to compile all those with it, where all those total shunts while he's having sex with all those ladies he must know. But,
I was about to say, like somebody who had only did a few Formula 1 races and would have been out of Formula 1 probably only after about 6 races would be Mike Halewood, because he also jumped over to the motorcycles, as we well know, but he wasn't 20 in 1978.
No.
Would a MotoGP wouldn't have been MotoGP, would it?
Well, it was, because the Isle of Man TT was a round of it was the 500cc GP World Championship, but the Isle of Man TT was a round of the World Championship until around about then.
Yeah.
But would it have been referred to as MotoGP?
No,
to be
it
fair, I
would
don't
be
think
referred to
Paul
as the
called it
500cc
MotoGP. I think he
champion.
called it like the motorcycling Grand Prix Championship or something like that.
Yeah.
Well done, guys. We've successfully worked out it's not somebody.
Well, it could be as a possibility, but I think Mike Hale was a lot older than that. That's the only thing.
It's okay. Flood's just destroyed our progress.
Do you want to skip this guess then?
It might be for
I
the
want to
best.
skip this fucking idea. I wish I'd dug one out now. It turns out as bad as I am at fucking reading out loud, I'm even worse at guessing.
Clue 7 might help. Yes, I am a racing circuit, and I have a general aviation runway as my back straight with its own ICAO code.
Silverstone.
Probably done more than 6 Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Clue 8. The death of 2 of my countrymen resulted in a general loss of interest in my organisers to host F1 races. And clue number 9. Niki Lauda holds my fastest F1 track record, winning the 1978 Grand Prix when he beat the Lotus 79 ground effect car.
Is it Donington?
No, it won't be Donington, because Donington held the race in '93.
It's going to be. I'm thinking if it's got a airfield on it, it's a British circuit. Then
There
are 2 Spaffers, by the way.
Brands Hatch held races in '80s. And I don't think any other British circuit outside of Brands Hatch, Donington, Silverstone, and Aintree held like the thing. I think like a couple of Grand Prix in the 50s.
Yeah,
I don't think. Oh, and Brooklands. I don't think anybody else has ever anywhere else has ever held Grand Prix in the UK. I might be wrong.
No, that sounds about right. I think the airfield thing isn't that rare, because a lot of circuits do tend to be in the arse end of nowhere.
So we're looking for a Grand Prix that's probably not a race circuit, or hasn't been a race circuit since '78.
Possibly.
Somewhere like Sweden or Switzerland.
I'm trying to think with the MotoGP. Switzerland wouldn't have had racing in that period.
Do you want your first Spaffer?
I think I have to.
Possibly, yeah.
I am the only track to have seen the notorious 6-wheel Tyrrell and the Brabham fan car. Both former total shunts, by the way.
Absolutely zero help.
Yeah, no. Nothing for me.
And the extra Spaffer, Pablo has talked on the podcast how he would love to visit me someday. Now, I'm going to get specific on this one. Only at this time of year. But not exactly this circuit.
So this could be Sweden, because this could be a reference to the Swedish nativity goat, or Advent goat.
Yeah, I think it's probably the Swedish Grand Prix, but I wouldn't know what circuit it was at, if I'm perfectly honest.
I've never remembered a Swedish Grand Prix in the F1.
I know there has been
Swedish, yeah, I know it exists.
Swedish Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I know there has been Swiss Grand Prix in the past as well.
Held in Germany.
Nope.
Yeah,
just while you're doing this, I'm just checking to see if the goat is actually still up.
The goat's fine. The little one got beaten up, but the big goat is fine.
Ah, that's good. That's good. So your final guess?
I think it's going to have to be the Swedish Grand Prix.
Yes, the track that hosted the Swedish Grand Prix.
I'll give you half a point on that. It's the Anderstorp circuit of the Scandinavian Raceway in Sweden.
Of course it
Okay,
is.
yeah, well, I'll take that.
Yeah, that is a half point. So thank you to Sabayan for sending that in, and I'm sorry I mangled your surname. If you want to send in a shunt, usually send it to Lee.
Yeah, send it to me in a PM at a total shunt.
Or send ones for the reserve list for when Lee's not about or can't find one to 3legs4wheels@gmail.com. Now,
also, that's Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. If you're on TikTok, I'll probably find it that way too.
Talking of things related to the email, we did a competition for the Murray Walker book a few years ago, and Penguin Publishers very kindly offered us 2 copies. So we have 2 winners that were drawn out of the hat completely at random. And they are James Hackett, who I think he's a drummer, a professional drummer as well as a F1 fan.
Cool.
And, I struggled with his name when he did that shunt of his last week. I'm just going to say Sid Partridge, because he did tell me how to pronounce it properly, and that's on a Discord message that I've forgotten, but I think it's Caven? Something...
Keevan?
No, he sent me a pronunciation guide, and he...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've
something different again.
I've managed to lose that, but we started calling him Sid anyway. It's Sid with a Y, as in Barrett. So Sid Partridge and James Hackett, congratulations. There will be a copy of the Maurice Hamilton Murray Walker book on the way to you very, very soon.
Congratulations.
To you.
Right, that about does it for this week and this season.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
It's
crazy
been a fun one. We won't be about next week. We'll be on the socials at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Come and tell me how much you disagree with me.
And you can do that on what Twitter address?
Come at me.
Or what
At
Twitter?
Flood21.
And Sean?
At Sean Cowper.
And I am at Pablo100. We'll be back in a couple of weeks or so. We'll do a season review, like we said, while it's still fresh in our minds and we've not forgotten it. And I'm sure we'll be getting together during the off season as well for the odd podcast, Patreon styley, where we just talk bollocks for 3/4 of an hour.
Yeah,
I would
Sounds
have thought.
good.
Just want to thank everyone for listening all the way through this season and getting in touch in whatever way and sort of generally being around. And you guys are the best fans. Don't care what Lewis says.
bye.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.